Welcome to the Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. Tyler and Caroline here with you. And Tyler, what's up? How you feeling?
I am feeling great. Saturday night was a great time. Oilers beat the Golden Knights. The Oilers Nation watch party was absolutely lit and a great time for everyone. And now the Oilers have had some days to rest and recover, and so have I.
I know. I was just about to say, a watch party. We got Tyler Uromperchuk and a 3-2 win. And the boys are 15-5-0.
Yeah.
No complaints right now from us, hey? Oh, aside from injuries.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a second, but we'll keep it positive for a little bit longer. This Oilers team is tied for the best points percentage in the NHL. I mean, the injuries and things that are happening right now, it sucks, and they're also giving us reason to believe they can win even despite all those injuries. But they've built themselves up a nice little bankroll here, to use betting terms, where, even if they went on a run where, like, they lost 3 of 5 or they lost 3 of 6, you'd still be kind of sitting there going, hey, they're doing great, even if they lost 4 of 6. Like, they've built themselves up this nice little cushion now in the standings. It's a great spot that they're in.
Do you believe in the crystals at all? Because we saw last game, Jay sitting right here, everyone, putting his hands on the crystals. And during our betting segment presented by PointsBet, Jay was like, he believes that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman were going to score. And in that order, they scored. Tyler, tell me you believe just a little.
Maybe a little. Maybe a little.
Tell everyone where you found this crystal.
So before we started doing the show, I looked on the floor down here, and that crystal was sitting on the ground. So now we think that we have to keep that one planted behind the green screen to keep the luck
going.
Okay.
So guys, let us know. I had these 3 in my bag when I left here on Saturday. This one was planted behind the green screen somehow. I had no idea. I would have never left it behind. But maybe that's the key to success. So maybe we'll try to get out again today. Let's talk about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, and Puljujarvi all getting on the score sheet, and all kind of had like quiet games up until that moment. It was big for them to come and show up against the Vegas.
It was the get off the schneid game, and all 3 of them on sort of odd man rushes or breakaways as well. The shot from Nugent-Hopkins, that was a goal scorer's goal where he found a way to place that shot, and the Oilers need more of that from him. He's only got the 2 goals on the season now, and at first it was great because he was racking up the assists, growing his apple orchard, and all of those jokes. But they really do need a little bit more output from Nugent-Hopkins. Zach Hyman, I mean, output hasn't been a problem for him, but you're right. It was a little run of sort of 4 or 5 games where he was starting to slow down a little bit. So to see him score a goal in what I would call vintage Zach Hyman fashion, right? Just sort of dropping his shoulder, defending himself off of Mark Stone, who's a great defensive forward as well. That was great. And then Puljujarvi as well. He's away from McDavid. He's not playing in the top 6 anymore, but he's finding a way to make an impact, and I think that's great to see.
Mikko Koskinen. We were just talking about it before the pregame show started, that his numbers are very average, like very average in the league, but he's has an 11-2 record. So it's kind of like you're kind of going like this with Koskinen, but he had an unreal first period against the Vegas Golden Knights specifically, where he made some monster saves.
Yeah, he faced 6 high-danger Corsi events in the first period. He turned aside 10 scoring chances in the first period as well. He was legit, and you're right, that 11-2 record, it's amazing. He has a .912 save percentage. League average this year is .913. Yeah. So that also, in a way, just goes to show with this Oilers team, the offense is good enough that if you get just average goaltending, you're going to win hockey games, right?
Can that carry us through, though? Or just now, but like...
I think for now it's fine. Yeah. I think when you get to the playoffs, you're always going to need someone to give you sort of a consistent .930 to .940 save percentage performance if you want to win best of 7s. But for right now, through the regular season, with what the Oilers are going to have to do the rest of the year to kind of win the Pacific, I honestly think they can do it as long as they're getting around that 9-13 mark more often than not.
Cody Ceci placed on COVID protocols. We don't know if he has COVID. We're praying that obviously he doesn't and is very healthy and remains safe. However, our D-men are dropping like flies at this moment. Concerns, who's being brought up in his position, and what do you think?
Well, I mean, so they're already missing the entire left side of their blue line that they started the year with. And now you're missing Cody Ceci, who I think has been their most dependable and reliable right shot D-man. He's been one of their best D-men overall so far this season. He's been a pleasant surprise. I wrote about that over on the website at Oilers Nation. You can go check out my 20 Thoughts on 20 Games article. But he's been handling tough assignments. He's been handling tough zone starts, and he's been giving them solid results. And it's a big loss for this Oilers team because now you look, and I mean, it's a very, very inexperienced group now on this blue line. The top pairing, they're going to roll with Russell and Barry. We'll get to some numbers in a bit. And then after that, it's basically Bouchard and a bunch of minor leaguers. And that's not great. That's not a recipe for success.
Are you on TikTok, Tyler?
I am.
So if I said to you, Cody Ceci has understood the assignment, you'd understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I would understand that. I'm hip with the kids, Caroline. Come on.
Just making sure. Okay, quickly, let's go to our captain, Connor McDavid. He became the 4th fastest to 400 career assists and leads the league with 22. We all know all the amazing things Connor McDavid does, but what more do we need from our captain moving forward?
I mean, it was actually kind of surprising to see the Oilers come away with a victory against Vegas where neither McDavid or Draisaitl get on the board. And whenever that happens, like when one of them's held off the score sheet, I'm always on high alert the next game. I'm looking at what the odds are for them to score, and I'm like, okay, there's no way this player's getting held off the sheet in back-to-back games. And now with both of them, there's no way they go back-to-back games without points. That's just not something these guys do. So it'll be interesting to see how Draisaitl and McDavid can bounce back tonight. And, I mean, again, the blue line's banged up. Pittsburgh's playing pretty good hockey as of late. They're going to need McDavid and Draisaitl to come through for them.
Well, let's head right into the opposition report presented by Yegburger. Obviously, the Oilers are taking on the Penguins tonight at Rogers Place. Pittsburgh's 10-7-5 on the season, coming off of a 2-1 OT loss against the Flames. We know the storyline in this one. It's going to be McDavid versus Crosby. That's what everyone is talking about. We're going to get to that a little later in the show, but what else can we expect from the Pittsburgh Penguins?
The Pittsburgh Penguins, they play some good defensive hockey, and they're good at keeping pucks out of their net. They've also been pretty good this season at 5-on-5. They're top 10 in both 5-on-5 goals for and shots for percentage. They're 3rd in the league in expected goals for as well. I mentioned 4-1-1 in their last 6 games here. A big reason why they've been on that run has been the play of Tristan Jarry, who's going to get the start tonight. 3 shutouts in his last 6 games. He's only allowed 3 goals in his last 6 games. The run this guy is on is unbelievable right now. And again, the Oilers are playing with that beaten up blue line. They're playing with Mikko Koskinen, who has been average so far this year. And then there's Pittsburgh, who's been looking great defensively and who's been getting some of the best goaltending in the league from Jarry. So it's a really, really tough test tonight for the Oilers.
And let's head towards the good guys, the Edmonton Oilers. What kind of changes do we see in their lines?
Let's get into those Oilers. Actually, no, let's start with the Penguins lineups. I'll give are we going Oilers? Okay, we're going Oilers, Liam. We're going Oilers lines.
Sorry, that's my bad, everyone.
McDavid with Hyman and Cassian, Draisaitl with Yamamoto and Nugent Hopkins. The Oilers are on home ice, and they're keeping McDavid and Draisaitl split up. I don't know if I love that here tonight, but it might give them just a little bit more dependability with, again, the banged-up blue line. I've mentioned it 100 times now, to maybe have McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice a little bit more to keep the puck moving in the right direction. McLeod with Puljujarvi and Warren Foegele's the 3rd line, expecting Derek Ryan with Benson and Sevier as the 4th line, Russell with Barry, Legason with Bouchard, Niemelainen with Broberg. And I don't know if I love the idea of flipping Broberg over to the right side. He has a little bit of experience over in Sweden playing his offside, but I think you had Chris Russell there. I understand why you want to go with the experienced duo in Russell and Barry, but even them, like, you can't just play them for 30 minutes in the hockey game. I would have put Russell on the right side where he has experience at the NHL, and then gone probably Broberg and Barry, Legason, Bouchard, Niemelainen, and Russell, and ran it out that way. But the way this Oilers blue line is constructed right now, Russell and Barry have combined for 1,520 games of NHL experience. The rest of this Oilers blue line, just 74 games. And these guys got to go up against Sidney Crosby tonight.
I know, right? Said the kid. All right, let's do lines presented by Deuce Vodka for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sorry for switching that up, but That's what we do these days.
Crosby with Gensel and Evan Rodriguez is their top line. That trio has combined for 5 goals in their last 5 games. Jason Zucker with Jeff Carter and Kasperi Kapanen. Teddy Bluger with Zach Aston Reese and Brock McGinn. Sam Lafferty with Dominic Simone and Danton Heinen on the blue line. It's Brian Dumoulin with Chris Letang. That duo will see a lot of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl tonight. I expect Dumoulin and Letang to log a ton of minutes. Marcus Pettersson with the former Oilers draft pick John Marino on the second pair. Michael Matheson with Chad Ruhwedel on the third pair. And as I mentioned earlier, it is Tristan Jarry getting the start for the Pens.
Awesome. Okay, now the Crystals are near you, Tyler. Are you getting any type of feeling as to where your bet of the game should go, presented by PointsBet?
It's a tough one tonight. Like, as you can see, the Oilers, they're favorites in this hockey game, which is really surprising to me. Minus 125 on the money line. The Penguins come in at plus 105. The Oilers on the puck line are plus 175. If you like them to win in regulation, it's plus 115. For my bet of the game, I'm actually going with a shot prop in this one. I'm taking Tyson Barrie over 2.5 shots. It's paying out plus money at about plus 125. The reasoning here, this guy's going to have to play a ton tonight. Like, I think the three of Bouchard, Barrie, and Russell could all creep up to that 25-minute mark in this hockey game. If Barry's on the ice a lot, Oilers get a few power plays. I think he can throw 3 shots on goal. Always, though, when it's Edmonton versus Pittsburgh, it's Crosby versus McDavid. And if you want to throw a little bit of coin on the 2 superstars tonight, here are the odds on those 2. McDavid, even money to score. You got Crosby plus 180 to score, minus 140 for McDavid to get 2 points, plus 160 for Crosby to pick up 2 points or more in this hockey game. Always fun. It's fun watching these two go head to head, and considering the fact Crosby only rolls in here once a year, like, we're not going to get a lot more of these in the future, right? Like, who knows how many more years Sidney Crosby has left in the tank. So enjoy this game, because it should be cool to watch the 2 of them go head to head.
Before we wrap up, let's quickly talk about what Dave Tippett said. Obviously, that the conversation is always going to be around McDavid and Crosby. However, he believes that Draisaitl should be in that conversation too. And when you talk about the best player in the world, that Draisaitl should be included. I have to agree, especially with the season he's having right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking Hart Trophy voting, I think Leon Draisaitl deserves to be ahead of Connor McDavid right now. And obviously, they're kind of 1-2. Crosby, not so much in that conversation, but I mean, still one of the game's all-time greats. But I like that point that Tippett made, giving it a little bit of love to his German superstar Draisaitl, because, I mean, he just got named first star of the month in the NHL as well. He's leading in pretty much every category. He deserves to be in that conversation right now.
Quickly, if I had to put my money anywhere, I would do it on Connor McDavid tonight. As you know, Tyler, from previous episodes of the pregame show, he is a Capricorn, so they're known to be very goal-driven, dedicated to their work, and they always have their eye on the prize at all time. I think Connor McDavid, since he didn't have a point in the last game, is dialed in, and I think he's going to make some fire in this Crosby-McDavid matchup. So I've learned never to bet against the Oilers, and I know never to bet against McDavid, so that's where I'd put my money.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Anything in the chat? Guys, do we leave this crystal here? Let us know. I feel like we have to.
Tanner Phillips, pumped for the game tonight. It's his birthday, so happy birthday to Tanner. John said, Mikko has that record thanks to the offense. He actually played a decent game for once in his career. And again, Koskinen on a whole this season has been fine. Like an average from Mikko Koskinen, that gets him a passing grade in my books. And yeah, the offense has won them games. That's fine. That's what you get when you have one of the best offenses in the NHL. I don't really use that as much of a knock on Mikko. The 11-2 record is great. He stopped the number of pucks that he's had to in a couple of stinkers mixed in there. But for the most part, Koskinen's been good, and he won them that game on Saturday. They get blown out if it's not for Mikko.
But what will it take for Koskinen to, obviously, he comes up for those monster saves, but then he lets in, I hate to say it, but he does let in a soft one. So how does he get, like, his consistency on track?
That's just never something Mikko Koskinen's going to have. Like, he's been around for long enough, and that's never going to be Mikko Koskinen saying he'll make 3 or 4 10-bell saves in a game, then like he did against Vegas, let one in that leaves you going, how did you let that one get through? But
he's
again,
only human.
As long as he's stopping, 91 to 92% of the shots he faces, the Oilers are going to get chances to win hockey games.
Awesome. Anything else in the chats?
Nothing else really going on in the chats here, but this should be a good one tonight. I'm a little bit nervous for our Oilers, though. I'll be honest. I think with this blue line, with the way Pittsburgh's playing, how strong defensively they've been, I think the Oilers are really in tough tonight. But they have been a great home team. 8-1 at Rogers Place so far this season. they're a tough out on home ice, especially when Dave Tippett gets that last change. So we'll see if they can keep that Rogers Place magic going tonight.
It'll be a great game, guys. We'll be back on the next game day. This has been your Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. Caroline and Tyler here with you, and enjoy the game. See ya.